You earn, you spend, and somehow when the last week of the month arrives, you're already checking the balance in your account with that familiar feeling of confusion. You didn't buy anything extravagant, you didn't take a trip, you didn't make huge purchases. So where did it all go? This isn't just a coincidence, it's not bad luck, and it's definitely not because you don't earn enough. What's happening is something far more dangerous. You're losing control of your money without even noticing. There's a hidden flow draining your finances silently, day after day, and you only realize it when there's nothing left. Most people believe they have control over their spending because they avoid big expenses. They think that as long as they don't buy a car, a house, or go on vacation, they're managing their money well. But the real problem isn't the big expenses, it's the invisible ones. The ones you don't track, the ones you don't remember, the ones that seem too small to matter but add up. To destroy your financial balance every single month, think about your last 7 days. Can you name every single expense you made? The coffee you grabbed on the way to work, the delivery you ordered because you were too tired to cook, the app subscription you forgot you still had, the impulse purchase you made while scrolling through your phone. All of these seem harmless in the moment, but together they form a pattern of financial bleeding that you can't see until it's too late. And here's the thing. This isn't about discipline, it's about awareness. You can't control what you don't see. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. And most people go through their entire lives spending money on autopilot, never stopping to ask the most important question: where is my money actually going? The truth is, your financial chaos doesn't start when you go into debt. It doesn't start when you miss a payment. It starts way before that. It starts the moment you stop paying attention. The moment you assume that small expenses don't matter, the moment you convince yourself that you'll remember everything without writing it down. That's when the invisible drain begins. And once it starts, it doesn't stop until you become aware of it. Here's what makes this even more dangerous. This pattern is so common, so normalized, that people think it's just how life is. They think everyone struggles to make their money last until the end of the month. They think it's normal to feel financially stressed. They think it's just part of being an adult, but it's not. It's a symptom of something deeper. It's a sign that you're spending without awareness, without intention, and without control. Now let's talk about why this happens. Your brain isn't designed to track small expenses. It's wired to notice big threats and big opportunities. A $5 coffee. Your brain doesn't register it as a threat. A $10 food delivery? Same thing. A $20 impulse purchase? Still not enough to trigger any alarm. But when you add up $5 every day for a month, that's $150. 3 deliveries a week, that's another $120. And we haven't even started counting the forgotten subscriptions, the spontaneous purchases, or the just this once moments that happen way more often than you think. The invisible drain isn't about one bad decision. It's about 100 small decisions that you make without thinking. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're making them. You're on autopilot. You see something, you want it, you buy it. No pause, no reflection, no consideration of the bigger picture. And at the end of the month, you're left wondering why your account is empty again. This is where most people make their biggest mistake. They think the solution is to earn more money. They think if they just had a higher salary, a better job, or an extra source of income, their problems would disappear. But that's not how it works. Because the invisible drain doesn't care how much you earn. It adjusts to your income. You start earning more, and your spending quietly increases to match it. New habits form. New expenses appear. And before you know it, you're back in the same situation, just with bigger numbers. Earning more money doesn't fix a spending problem. It just hides it for a little while longer. Because the root issue isn't how much money comes in. It's what happens to it once it's in your hands. And if you don't have awareness, if you don't have structure, if you don't have a system to track where your money is going, it will always disappear. Always. So let's break down the mechanics of this invisible drain. It operates on 3 levels, and all 3 need to be understood if you want to stop it. First, there are the forgotten expenses. These are the subscriptions you signed up for months ago and never cancelled. The memberships you don't use, the services you forgot you even had. They're small, they're automatic, they're invisible, and they're draining your account every single month without you noticing. Most people have at least 3 to 5 of these running in the background right now, and they don't even know it. Second, there are the unconscious expenses. These are the purchases you make without thinking. The snack you grab at the checkout, the item you add to your cart because it's on sale, the random thing you buy because you were bored, stressed, or just felt like treating yourself. You don't plan these expenses, you don't budget for them, and because they're unplanned, they don't get tracked. They just happen, over and over again. Third, there are the justified expenses. These are the ones you convince yourself you need. The taxi instead of public transport because you were tired. The food delivery instead of cooking because you didn't have time. The new piece of clothing because the old one wasn't quite right anymore. You tell yourself it's justified. You tell yourself it's necessary, and maybe it is. But when every expense feels justified, nothing gets questioned, and when nothing gets questioned, everything gets spent. Here's where people get stuck. They hear this and think, okay, so I just need to stop spending on small things. But that's not the solution either. Depriving yourself completely doesn't work. It creates frustration, it creates resentment, and eventually it leads to a financial explosion where you spend even more than before just to compensate for the restriction. The goal isn't to stop spending. The goal is to spend with awareness. Awareness changes everything. When you know where your money is going, you start making different choices. Not because someone told you to, not because you're following a rule, but because you see the pattern, you see the drain. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's when real change happens. Let's address some of the mental blocks that keep people trapped in this cycle. First, there's the belief that tracking expenses is too much work. People think they need to save every receipt, log every transaction, and spend hours analyzing spreadsheets. But that's not true. Tracking doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be consistent. You don't need a perfect system. You just need a system. Even a basic list on your phone where you write down what you spent each day is enough to start seeing the pattern. Second, there's the belief that small expenses don't matter. This is the most dangerous belief of all, because it's the small expenses that add up to the biggest problems. It's not the one-time purchase that ruins your finances. It's the daily habit. It's the repeated behavior. It's the pattern you don't see because each individual expense seems too small to worry about. But when you add them all up, they're not small, they're massive. Third, there's the belief that you'll remember everything without writing it down. Your memory isn't reliable when it comes to money. You'll forget, you'll underestimate, you'll convince yourself you spent less than you actually did. That's why writing it down is non-negotiable. Not because it's fun, not because it's satisfying, but because it's the only way to see the truth. Fourth, there's the belief that having money in your account means you can spend it. This is where most people lose control. They see a balance and assume it's available to spend, but they don't account for upcoming bills. They don't account for irregular expenses. They don't account for the fact that the month isn't over yet. So they spend freely, and then they're shocked when they run out of money before the month ends. The money was never fully yours to spend. You just thought it was. Now let's talk about what you can actually do to stop the invisible drain. Start by tracking every single expense for 1 month, not forever, just 1 month. Write down everything, every coffee, every snack, every subscription, every impulse buy, everything. Don't judge it, don't try to change it yet. Just observe. This isn't about restriction, it's about awareness. You need to see the pattern before you can break it. At the end of the month, review what you wrote. Look for patterns. Look for repeated expenses. Look for things you forgot you were paying for. Look for purchases you made without thinking. This review will show you where the drain is happening, and once you see it, you'll know exactly what needs to change. Next, categorize your expenses. Separate them into essentials and non-essentials. Essentials are things you genuinely need to survive and function: rent, food, transportation, utilities. Non-essentials are everything else: entertainment, impulse buys, convenience purchases, luxuries. You're not going to eliminate non-essentials, but you are going to become intentional about them. Instead of spending on autopilot, you'll start asking yourself, is this worth it? Do I actually want this? Or am I just spending because you can? Then identify your triggers. What situations make you spend without thinking? Boredom, stress, tiredness, social pressure. Everyone has triggers. And once you know yours, you can start interrupting the pattern. You can't always avoid the trigger, but you can change your response to it. Instead of reaching for your wallet, you can pause. You can ask yourself what you actually need in that moment. And most of the time, it's not another purchase. Finally, create a buffer. A buffer is a small amount of money you set aside at the beginning of the month that you don't touch unless absolutely necessary. This isn't savings. This is protection. It's there to prevent you from running out of money before the month ends. It's there to give you breathing room, and it's there to break the cycle of financial stress that keeps you trapped in the invisible drain. This isn't about becoming perfect with money. It's about becoming aware. It's about seeing where your money goes instead of wondering where it went. It's about making decisions instead of letting your habits decide for you. It's about taking control of something that's been controlling you for too long. The invisible drain will keep running as long as you let it. It will keep emptying your account. It will keep creating stress. It will keep making you feel like you're failing with money, even though you're working hard and trying your best. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can stop it. You can see it. You can change it. The question is, will you?